let's try that. Hello, 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 hello. Hey, everybody should be able to hear me now. Okay, I'm gonna fix everything, get everything back to normal. Sorry, everybody. What I was saying is, we just dropped a video. If you haven't checked that out, you totally should, because it is about our Great Seal, the thing that's going to define a lot of the documents that we have in the future, and is going to help spread the word about Aeternia and its value to other nations as well as to our citizens. It's a quality of production thing, essentially, for us. But today's video is on something different. If you haven't checked out the video we just dropped earlier, go check it out. Today I want to talk about why we need to stop creating new micronations. That sounds like a clickbait thing. That sounds like something that, I've even talked about before on the channel. But I went away for maybe like 2-3 weeks trying to build new stuff up and continue pushing out some of the things that we've had in the pipes for a long time here in Aeternia, as well as trying to deal with some of my own personal stuff. And I have constantly been bombarded as I've been trying to check in on the community, as I've been trying to get things back to normal, in noticing that people just create micronations. There will be micronations that are destroyed, and that people try and revive in a new form that'll create a new micronation. There will be people who dissect from other micronations and will break apart and will then form their own nation. All of you know this. This is something that's been true for time immemorial in micronations. But the thing that is time immemorial, I guess, the thing that's crucial for us now is to stop making them, because there is enough culture to go around. There is enough development and progress that can happen in an individual nation that you can have some idea for how you want to grow and become a part of another nation and support another nation and adapt into that nation. But by creating your own micronation, I have seen more and more micronations that look almost identical to other nations, and it needs to stop. It's really strange, and I don't like it. There have been so many instances in my micronational career of seeing people who take a particular idea for a concept for a nation and just start developing it blindly, and then will come to talk to me or to one of my other micronational colleagues and will say, hey, we are interested in developing this new nation with this great new idea of this and this and this. And I'll say, oh, it sounds like there's another nation that's already doing exactly what you're talking about, that I've already spoken with, that I've already been working with. You should check them out. Maybe you can join their nation. And people don't want to do that. They say, no, my nation's completely different. You don't understand. We're doing it this way, this way, this way, and this way. And it ends up being exactly in line with another nation. And I think this comes down to a fundamental idea in micronationalism, that people want to lead their own thing. They want to create their own thing, whether it means it gets nowhere, or whether it means that it does not, that it's paralleling something else perfectly. And I just don't want to see that happen in the micronational community. There are so many micronations that have become beautiful collages of the people who have become a part of them and who have helped them to exist. And that is something that is becoming less and less frequent, I have noticed, as more and more micronations develop. Because it's easy for somebody to just create their own nation. It's easy for somebody to just break off from something else and become a part of something new. So we have to find a way to change that in this world. We have to find a way, as micronationalism starts to develop, as we start to see more and more nations who are becoming economically prosperous, to support those nations, to have our nations unify and become something that can stand the test of time and that can truly show other micronationalists. Being a micronationalist is not about creating your own nation. That should not be the equivocation. Being a micronationalist means supporting a small country. That means if you're the leader, that means if you're the lowest person on the totem pole. You have to be able to support an idea. And if your idea is exactly the same as someone who has created something before you, you should be wise enough to join in and support what they are trying to do, instead of starting your own thing and trying to develop an entirely different parallel nation. One, because it pulls resources away from those other nations that have already been developed. We've already talked about this. But in addition, it's something that stops progress in the community, because people get sidetracked, stopping at the same ideas, going over them and over them and over them and over them again, rerunning the concept in their own little way.
We buy so
changing
many
one
different
little
things
thing.
online,
Oh, God.
so why not tires?
Okay. hold
Visit TireRack.com/BFGoodrich to shop the full line of BF Goodrich
Sorry,
tires.
guys, I'm
BF
trying
Goodrich, take control.
Trying to
TireRack.com, the way tire buying.
Sorry about that, guys. That was gross for a minute there. Please let me know if the music's overpowering. Thank you, guys. All right, I'm adjusting that. Sorry, everybody. I started the stream up just trying to jump in, and I want to now correct everything, get everything fixed. I'm trying a new camera setup. I know I talked about that a while back. I think the last live stream I did was the first one that I had ever tried this setup, but I really want to let you guys know if there are some issues, that's exactly what's happening, because I'm actively trying to figure this setup out while we work. So I have my camera on one side of things, and I have my actual computer on the other. So that's where I think I'm going to keep things. I had originally set it up where you guys were a moment ago, which was actually a pretty nice spot, in which I had my computer setting right behind, rather my camera setting on top of it. It's not a webcam, it's my actual digital camera. So now I'm trying to fix that, to adjust it, because the digital camera has a very beautiful picture. It captures the light nicely, and I'm able to work with it very easily. But then I have to look over to this side to see everybody's comments and to see what's happening. So now I'm going to do that, though, because it blocks my ability for everybody to let me know what's happening. So I'm going to move that to the side. I have my thing adjusted now. You're going to see me looking off at an angle, but that's better. Okay. So Aristoria says, yes, please. I just joined. Hi. Hello, everybody. I hope that's fixed. If anybody left because of the issues, please join back in. It's good to see you all. The Republic of South North says, can you please take us off the map? We can work on that. Aristoria says, LOL, we can't hear you. Aristoria says, not again. Yep, it takes a second sometimes. The Micronationalist says, how many watch time hours? Right now, we are at 3,240, I think. We had hit 3,250, but we ended up dropping back down a little bit. We had passed it. I think we were at 3,260 at one point, and then I've had to take a break because of my schooling, because of my personal life, so things dipped down a little bit, but we have been making progress, and we are climbing our way back up. So steady trying to push toward that 4,000. If you haven't watched the video we dropped earlier, that would help a lot. So we are trying to push it up. Fellow Merchant says, yo, AP, the music is louder than your voice. Thank you. I hope this has fixed it. I know that's from probably a few seconds ago when I didn't have it adjusted. It should be adjusted now. Like I said, I had to fix my setup. So please bear with me. Please understand that I am trying to keep all of this together and edited and adjusted more so in real time. So Nabak says, now we can hear you. Thank you. Rocky Mountain Television says, I do plan to make a board game that lets you start a country. That's very cool. I'm working on it right now. Fellow Merchant says, hello, AP, Floridian Republic, successor of Grand Duchy of South Florida. How are you doing? I'm doing very well. I hope you're doing well. That's the idea that I'm trying to talk about right now, though. Are nations that are created that are parallels to other nations. And a lot of the time, this starts with some base foundation, and I think it goes back to what you define a micronation as. There are plenty of people who have contacted me that says, you know, I'm not trying to declare independence, I'm not trying to create my own nation, but I do have this thing that I call a nation. You know, I'm not trying to create my own country, I should specify. People say, I'm not trying to create my own country, but I have an organization of people that consider themselves a nation. You know, it's a collective group of people. And so we are a micronation, but we aren't, you know, trying to create a country. That's something that I feel like you should then be able to support other micronations in. Now, if you are not interested in supporting micronations in general or trying to become a part of another country, that's one thing entirely. But I think a lot of people have varying degrees of what they consider a micronation to be. And so if you are truly supportive of micronations, new countries, people starting new countries completely independent of other countries, you should support those nations. You should actively be invested in becoming a part of those nations, because it's a lot easier said than done to start a nation. And it takes a lot of people and a lot of effort and a lot of money over many years to successfully develop and grow that project. So as people are continuing to push for independence, as people are trying to do that for all different reasons, for economic reasons, for social reasons, for just political reasons, there are, for technological reasons even, there are countless examples, and probably every single, activist reason to develop a nation has already been developed and has already been established in some micronation. So more than likely, if you're thinking, hey, I want to go ahead and start a nation, this has been a staple of this channel, but please go and look at other micronations, join those other micronations, develop with those other micronations, and become a part of it. And then a lot of you are saying, well, I've already started a nation. I already declared it last week or last month or last year. Still consider joining other nations. There are nations that have dissolved over from having existed for years and years, only to now be defunct because they cannot continue. People will start them for ideological reasons, but not have the time, ability, or monetary value to be able to successfully grow and establish that nation and its success. So therefore, it is important for us to value those ideas as a community. If people are leaving the community because they felt like, oh, I couldn't get my micronation off the ground, so my ideas don't matter, that should be avoided at all costs. We want those valuable people who have ideas and who have dreams to be a part of these nations that are trying to launch off. But that being the case, you absolutely have to have those people with a mindset that supporting these nations is the top priority. Making sure that any of these micronations can succeed is important, because without that, without any nation succeeding, this is all just without precedent. So instead of trying to be the next nation on the scene, we should be trying to push to become the nation that succeeds, and grouping together and becoming stronger and more powerful and more united as time goes on to make a bigger and bigger push for this activist purpose that we are trying to achieve. Ultimately, if you agree that micronationalism is about creating new countries that have never been developed on the face of the earth before, independent of all others, whether you consider that by UN recognition, whether you consider that just by having your own land and territory, that has to come at a price, and that price is supporting our fellow micronationalists. So it's something that has always been an issue because it's an unpopular opinion. It's something that people don't want to talk about enough in this community, but it is dire that it happens. There are people who are fantastic at business, but are not as savvy at creating a nation. There are people who are great at communication and marketing, but are not the same at developing a nation. There are people who are amazing at developing nations and the concepts for them, but don't have any of the other skills necessary. All of these people are missing pieces of the puzzle that need to be able to come together to form one successful unit, not all individually try and pull the resources apart from each other so that nobody has enough to succeed. Of course, there is enough to go around for multiple micronations to exist. Of course, there is enough for us all to be able to succeed in our own way, but we should think about what success means and how that is defined and at what time scales that is defined, because the more that we can unite, the better it is for us to be able to grow and succeed. Let me see in the comments. Rocky Mountain Television says it will be called Conquest. Hey, that's very cool. Fellow Merchant says the Duke is now the Council of the Republic. So Rocky Mountain Television, is your game about like war, because I feel like this is always interesting. People like the concept of creating countries and developing that, but then they always tie that to war. You know, in every game I've ever seen about developing a country, except for ones like SimCity or, you know, Tropico potentially, there is some component that has to do with you have to upgrade your military and your defenses, and you have to be able to fight back in order to, it's strange, because war games and civilization developing games are almost always parallel to each other. If not all war games have civilization building aspects, but almost every civilization building game has war aspects, has combat aspects, has, you know, military aspects. And I don't understand why. That's one of the things that I have continually pushed for in this community. Rocky Mountain, if you are developing a game about micronations or about creating countries, try to make a game that doesn't include war at all in it. Show the interest in just building and developing. Have goals and achievements that are based not on individual military conquests as your point system, but based around the actual quality of life of the people living there, and how these different decisions that one would make as to building a nation would affect those things, would affect those bottom lines for the nation to be able to continue its goals. You know, there are certain things that if a nation doesn't achieve on a regular basis, the nation will just fall apart and will not be able to sustain itself. And we've seen that on the macronational scale, and we've seen that on the macronational scale. So I would love to see a game like that. I'd be curious to know what that development means for you and how that works. Please let me know more about your game. I'd be curious about it. I actually wanted to update because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're doing pretty quickly that's going to be coming out for that. But I have been setting up some stuff locally here to try to develop our citizen recruitment and try to establish some more culture in the United States as to what Aeternia is, how we work, and to bring people in, so to introduce people warmly to who we are. And that being the case, I have wanted to develop actually a game that's unique to our civilization, and I'm excited to introduce that and to play that with people in person. I want to film that, I want to make that a video. But the thing that I've been trying to figure out is what kind of game I want to make it. I don't think I want to make it a card game. I don't think I want to make it like a tabletop game. It may have some elements like that, but I think I want it to be some sort of an interactive thing, like a team-based game, where people may not necessarily be running around and throwing things at each other and doing something that's super physical, but I want it to be semi-physical. I want it to be something that has some component that feels active, that feels like it's both a strategy game where these teams are trying to develop and prepare something potentially based around micronationalism, or about, you know, sustaining a group, an organization, and then having some team building elements in there, and then having those teams compete against each other for whatever the prize is, whether it's whatever the goal of the game is, I suppose, whether that be, some point tally as connected to, some sort of economic marker or something like that for these people's organizations, or whether that's something that's more abstract. You know what I mean? Maybe everybody's trying to go after this one item, and the only way that you can get this one item, which is like the victory item, is if you do these certain tasks and win so many certain tasks. A big part of the way that I've been thinking to develop the game actually is with mini games. So essentially these two teams work together and try to play mini games against each other. They will have the best person from their team at this or that or the other to be competing and actively doing these things that push their nation further and further toward getting this final goal. And so I've been thinking about that for a while. That your game reminds me very much of, ironically, the game that I'm developing. So I wish you luck, and I'm excited to see it. Crime Papers says, I just got in here. Why should I stop making micronations? Great question. So essentially, I've talked about this on the channel for a long time. people have been developing parallel micronations. People have been developing micronations that the core beliefs and the core purpose of have already been developed multiple times over. And there are many micronations that fail because of that, but there are also many micronations who are pulling the same crowd that have so much lost potential because they aren't uniting together. So a lot of the thing that I tell people is, hey, if you've already, if you haven't developed a micronation, go out and look for a micronation that's similar to the things that you want to be able to support. But if you've already developed your micronation, now I'm saying you should still consider joining other micronations, because micronations fail over time. People can't keep them up by themselves, people can't support them by themselves, and so we have this issue in the community of people going, well, I don't understand why my micronation is failing, I don't understand why I can't get support, but yet there are 10 or 12 other micronations doing the same thing as them. And so then you would say, so the problem is uniqueness, we need to have more unique micronations. But no, there are, within reason, only so many purposes for creating a micronation. Those talking about activism, those talking about reasons such as economic reasons, such as political, in general political reasons, those, social issues, those things are specific generally to an individual who's wanting to start the nation, but they're representative of an entire population on the earth, and they're trying to push for goals and ideals that represent potentially a majority of people on the earth, or the majority of people at least in a subgroup. So that being the case, if you have thought of an idea for a micronation, more than likely somebody else has it already incorporated into theirs. So that's why, because it is important to still take the great creativity that you have in developing the ideas that you want for your micronation and putting it toward a project that can grow it quicker and can put it to use for the people that you feel it is important to impact right now. That's the thing that always has startled me, I guess, about the micronational community, is that in some senses there are people who are saying, I'm trying to start a country because there's something wrong and we need to fix it, and this is how I'm going about fixing it. And there aren't other people who are going about fixing it. And then there are other people who create micronations just because they wanted to create it. It doesn't matter if they're, if there are other people supporting it or not. It doesn't matter if they're helpful or not. But it's antithetical to the idea of micronationalism to say, well, I am going to create this nation and develop this, and I want it to succeed. I want it to be recognized by the UN. I want it to have whatever standards I deem as relevant for being declared an independent and successful nation, like all others on the earth. But I don't want to give my support and, be less than in another micronation. But if your position as, a council person in another micronation versus the king of your own micronation, or as, a business person in another micronation versus the president of your own micronation, if that position, that secondary position, is more valuable than what you would be on your own, you should absolutely take it. You should absolutely take it, because it's about bringing your ideas to life and ensuring that your ideas don't die with you in micronationalism, because that happens a lot. And it also encourages people to unify together and to make a pledge of solidarity, saying, hey, I understand why you did what you did and joined this micronation. I see the value in it, and it has inspired me to join in as well and to contribute my time and my efforts. Because when everybody is screaming about a different thing, nobody can make sense of the noise. But when we're all screaming about the same thing, people feel it in waves. People feel it as a resonance, as a shock to their bones. And that is what is important. We have to decide as a micronational community, are we an activist movement that is trying to demand rights for people all around the world who deserve to break free of a nation that they are not happy or satisfied with in order to pursue a better life? Can we define what that better life is and show examples of success for minorities of people around the world? Or are we all just going to say that we want to make our own rules as individuals and have nobody listen to us? These are the difficulties. And it's something that has always shocked me about the micronational community. It's always been something hard. So, Crime Papers, please update me and let me know what you're thinking of. Rocky Mountain Television says, your videos are getting better. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We've always been trying to make better and better videos, higher quality videos. A lot of the time, it's just about time and effort. It's about how long it takes us to produce something. There's going to be something that's coming out pretty quickly. That's a pretty high quality thing that has taken months of effort, literal months of, pretty consistent effort. So I would say, if there's not a video that's posted for a month or whatever sometimes, know that we're always working. Know that there's always something going on. Know that Aeternia doesn't stop. We just have a lot that we do. And we're always investing in the future. Fellow Merchant says, I agree, AP, you're speaking facts. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm trying to. This has always been, for me, about trying to make a home for my people, for myself, for my family, and for the people who I have seen struggle in the United States, in the culture that I have lived in, impoverished people, in a successful country, arguably one of the most successful countries in the entire world. And it's sad. I love the United States. I love the people who help to build and sustain and maintain this country every day. I love the people who have, been servicemen and women who have given their lives for the United States and allowed us the freedoms that we have. But in all of that, I understand that those people aren't getting treated fairly, that there are plenty of people across this nation who have given everything for the dreams that it represents and have not gotten in returns what they deserve from that. And so, for me, that is the effort, is to be able to say, if we can pool our resources, if we can truly prove that we are capable of making the effort to develop a fund that is repeating and growing for these people, then we can give a higher quality of life. And we can be the ones to do it independently. We can create systems that are pursuing renewable energy, things like that. We can develop social funds to help people who can't help themselves. We can develop ways to build our community and to show that everyone is valuable, that their ideas are valuable, that their efforts are needed, not just as some hopeful part of a nation, but as an integral subset of it. My dream for Aeternia, and this is again a video that's going to be coming out pretty soon. I want to do like another basic overview of like what Aeternia is for everybody that's new, because there's been 5 years of content on the channel that people haven't been able to piece together the whole thing. One of the primary things that I want to include in my talk about what Aeternia is and why we exist and why we haven't just joined another nation, or why we haven't, why we're still holding out that we are the nation that, can make these things happen, is because we want to start not as a nation that hopes to one day become, environmentally friendly and hopes to one day be able to support social programs for its people, and one day hopes to be able to solve the problem of automation taking away jobs from people and the problems that the expensive healthcare in this country causes people. We are trying to start that way. We are trying to build a system and develop a system that never has those flaws and problems in the first place, because they're problems that have been built systematically into them because of the techniques necessary for it to survive as an amalgamation of all these different people's ideas and concepts for it. But in starting out, the Empire of Aeternia is actively developing and has shown its development for renewable resources. We have right now our industries. One of our biggest industries, our Aeternian metal melting and refining, that is already 100% based on electrical energy. That being the case, we have already started electrical power generation for the Empire of Aeternia using our hydroelectric system. So that being the case, as we continue to upgrade that, eventually we will be able to run our industry solely off of the power that we generate for ourselves without any carbon emission being there, without any fossil fuels taking part in the process, without any environmental damage, and we can actually become not just carbon neutral, but carbon negative. We can start our country that way. That has been the effort this entire time, and we have been continuing to push to show people that that is possible. Pappel says, hey, what's up? Hey, how are you, Pappel? It's good to see you. We are a country, if you don't know, and we are continuing to move forward every day in our successes.
Take advantage of today's
Ooh,
low
what can
mortgage
help
rates
you
and
with
save money?
ads? Oh, these are ads. Sorry about that, everybody. Fellow merchant says, well, my micronation is just a renamed and went from a monarchy to a republic, though. Why was that? Why the big change? Maximilian Portillo says, hello, AP. Good news. I just got the school congress election results, and I won by a landslide today. Congratulations. Congratulations, Max. That's amazing. How do you feel? What did you run on? What do you hope to achieve for your school? Is your position one that's more ceremonial, or do you actually have decision-making power? What do you feel like is the most important issue going on in your school right now? And if you had unlimited power, what would you want to solve first? Ari says, crap, I'm almost like 30 minutes late. You're good, Ari. I appreciate it. I'm excited you joined the stream. I know you wanted to stream today, so welcome to your present. Ari says, the Empire of Aeternia, are you going to finish that Aeternian symbol? Also, are you going to sell the Aeternian Great Seal on Etsy? So we're not going to sell the seal itself. Like, we're not going to sell the stamp, you know what I mean? Because that's ours. It is just for the Emperor to use. It is the official seal of the Empire of Aeternia, and nobody else will be allowed to stamp that. That is our official declaration of a promise. That is our official declaration of a treaty or a pact between nations, between ourselves and a citizen. It is going to be the way that we move forward with a lot of our business. So it's an announcement to the world saying, hey, look at this thing, but we probably won't be selling the seal itself. Now, we will probably be selling items with the seal stamped on it, so if you are interested and excited to see something with our Aeternian seal stamped on it, please let me know your thoughts on what that could be. One of the biggest things I've been hoping to gear up to is actually getting unique Aeternian art developed, having that art developed for us, and then stamping our seal onto it, and making it something that is cherished and prized by the people of our nation, representing our culture and also allowing us to gain additional revenue. Ari says, also a little, next live, could you make your voice just a little bit louder? 100%. I can probably do that. This live stream. I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak more directly into my mic. I hope you can hear me. Let's see. Is your volume turned up all the way? Because on my end, it's showing me getting like into the red, like my voice is starting to get a little loud. So please let me know. If not, I'm sorry, I'll try and work on my settings. Pappel, let me know if anybody else is having that issue. Pappel says, I am the owner of the Kingdom of Roninland, if you remember me. I believe I do, yes. I believe I remember Roninland. Didn't you... so have you changed your flag now? I think I remember you with a different flag. Ari says, I think so. Pappel says, nice. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what this live stream is about. You know, we have been trying to develop a lot in the background recently. We have new things with different micronations that we're excited to join. One of the things, 99-bit says music's too loud. Thank you. I will drop that down a little bit. Let me know how this is. Yeah, I always have a difficulty trying to figure out whether that is like where the correct range is for that, but I'm working on it. I'm still trying to fix it. You also asked, Ari, are we going to be finishing this symbol right here? Are we going to be finishing this flag for the Empire of Aeternia? The answer is I believe eventually we will be. This was a project that Tiffany actually started to develop for us before we got our flag from Master Stephen, Master of the House of Treasure. So We will probably end up finishing this, but the reason that I put it up as it is because I think it is a beautiful symbol to show that our nation has been around a long time, but we are still developing. Micronations are always developing. They are always changing and undergoing adaptation, not only to survive, but to get better at understanding who they are. When you start a nation, there are plenty of people who will have every single law and code and concept down to the letter in a Declaration of Independence or something like that. And will have, tax laws, 30 pages of tax laws figured out, and zoning laws for different infrastructure figured out for their land. This is all too complex for a micronation, especially something that is just getting started, because a lot of the time it's not reasonable, it's not necessary for your nation. So, in a semi-utilitarian approach, the Empire of Aeternia has developed things as it becomes necessary, and that has allowed us to move forward very, very efficiently in what we develop and how we develop. So, that being the case, we are continuing to build, we are continuing to change, and we are continuing to grow as we develop. Not necessarily changing who we are or any of our foundations, which is why we have our Guide of Foundation and Principles instead of a Declaration of Independence. We know where we've come from. We know what we are all about. Now we are refining and improving the message that we spread and the way that we engage. And I think that's a beautiful representation of that. But yes, we will be continuing to do that as well. If you guys have missed it, let me show you here. There's going to be some clothes and stuff in the way, but let me see if I can block that. Yep. You see that beautiful image that Tiffany also drew? That's some art by Tiffany right there, if you guys like that. I can actually zoom now that I have my cool kid camera. Yeah, and so you guys can see that, the Empire of Aeternia and our symbol. It's actually the Empire of Aeternia, and the A in the symbol, the arrow, the arrow of progress in our symbol, which is actually what the name of our symbol is the A in Aeternia in that sign. So it's a beautiful sign. Again, thank you to Tiffany for developing that. And then you can see in the back we have our Stop Making Micronations sign for today's video in particular. But this has always been a topic that is a hot button issue among micronationalists, and something that I have fervently continued to speak on throughout my micronational career. It's important that we come together instead of creating new things, because people come up with amazing ideas, and then a lot of the time that nation will dissolve, and then people will just take the idea and will just be like, oh, I did it and I made it myself, when these are things that have been long developed in other micronations before. So if you're somebody who has great ideas but can't get their nation off the ground, please support another nation. Please become a part of another nation, because if you end up having to abandon it one day, that means that your great ideas, that means that all of this work and this effort that you have developed may go to the wayside. Some people may pick it up, but some people may not. And if you put yourself in a position to be an influential part of another nation, you can ensure that those great ideas move forward, and you can truly impart some help and some assistance to another nation who needs it. Even the most successful micronations are struggling, I guarantee you, because we're all trying to push for this goal of becoming a country, and we're all, even in the best estimates, a significant leap from it. So it's a great effort. It's a great effort that we're all pulling together, and we're all pulling the sled in a different direction. So we got to figure out how to correct this. Sneaklone says creature. It's good to see you, Sneaklone. Let me see. Thank you, 99bit, for your correction. Ardell says, AP, a tip is to test your settings before doing it, so you won't have to change in the middle of a stream. Agreed. My biggest thing is limitations with stream time, as well as thinking that I have everything set up correctly initially. But I appreciate it. Papple says, my flag has a bright yellow star in the middle, dark navy blue around it, and some dark blue. I remember that. Yep, I sure do. I think you've also posted in the Discord. Papple says, we also are having an election. Ooh, please let me know how it goes. Ari says, also tell Tiffany those pieces are good. Hey, I sure will. I will let Tiffany know. I'm sure she appreciates that very much. One of the things that we are trying to do, which I will give some small announcements about now. Of course, you guys remember these guys, don't you? They are our copper ingots, our beautiful copper ingots that we have been creating in the Empire of Aeternia, and we are going to be refining a couple of these to send to the Empire of Aeternia in the UK. We're going to be sending those to them pretty quickly, and so I am excited for that. And in exchange, we are going to be receiving one of their silver coins. So I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to show it off. The other thing, as we are advancing some of our in-person recruitment efforts for civilians in the U.S. to become citizens, we are looking for someone to hold this. This is going to be the ring of our blacksmith. This is going to be the official symbol of Aeternia's head blacksmith. And it's something that I'm super proud of. Now that our industry is really starting to get off the ground and we're starting to make some significant money with our blacksmithing endeavors and our metal refining endeavors, I want somebody to be able to spend time to be that to be their specific job, and that to be the industry that they work in. So as of right now, that's what this is looking like, the ring of our blacksmith. It is an iron ring, and it has this beautiful banding around it. So I am super excited to see what we can do with that. And this is something that, again, just becomes an additional way for us to improve our culture and to develop what it means to be Aeternian. So as we move forward with that, please remember that we will be continuing to have new faces come in and have new people that are developing. So I can't wait to introduce them to you all. Ari says, I watched a few Sumerian videos today. Very nice. In addition, the thing that is so monumental about this, about the reason that I've created this video, the reason that I'm saying stop making micronations, is because I have noticed it. Again, watching the past couple weeks, especially, different nations on our Discord, different nations on Reddit, different nations on Twitter and on Instagram, building and developing and then falling apart after years, or building and developing and then changing and then changing and then changing and then changing and then changing. People creating new nations, people dividing those nations into newer created nations, people creating organizations for nations and then dissolving those organizations, and then other people creating de facto, separate organizations. It is all a lot of running around for no forward momentum. It is a lot of development that is not beneficial. And so there has to be some way to have methodical, repetitious, beneficial growth and development for our nation as the Empire of Aeternia, and as well for every other micronation. There needs to be some standard, not in the sense of, a regulated, controlled standard by one country, but there has to be a consensus among micronations that we are trying to develop countries. We are trying to support many people and have them entrust their lives and their family with us. And so we have to make homes for people. We have to make successful places for people. And in order to do that, we need smart people and capable people who are a part of the micronational community to join those nations who are at the forefront and to join those who are continuing to develop and to expand. Because without that, we have this community in which some people are pulling in one direction and some people are pulling in another. And it hurts. It hurts us. It hurts everybody, from the nations at the top to the nations at the bottom, and it gets us nowhere. So those nations who are in the forefront, we need to make more of an example to try to be more inclusive of other people, to try to encourage other micronationalists to become a part of our nation. One of the things that's the saddest in the micronational community is to see somebody leave because they feel that the community is toxic, or that the community is unfriendly to them, or that the community is not helpful to the cause that they are trying to promote. And those people's ideas are important. Those people's methods are potentially very valuable, and they are being underutilized because there is no way for that person to simply, easily, and confidently transition from their own nation and what they've been doing to becoming a part of another nation. And they feel like it's a failing. They feel like it's, if you join another nation, it's ultimately not achieving the thing that you wanted to do, when that shouldn't be the mindset of it. It should be trying to advance the position of nations and of individuals to pursue their own sovereignty. Ari says, also, when your micronation has people inside your land, when other people get jobs like blacksmith, how will that work? That's a great question. So the primary purpose of Aeternia right now, and the primary directive, I suppose, for our economy is to have people developing externally. So everywhere that an Aeternian is, Aeternia is, to some extent. But we have resources that can only be utilized in our defined territory, the place that we actually own and declare as a region, as a border for the Empire of Aeternia. But, of course, Aeternian culture and people live far beyond that. So, for our empire and its economic development, we want people to come here and to learn and to be trained and to develop, whether that be through the internet or whether that be in coming and directly learning something from me or from someone else in our nation. And that should allow them to have a valuable trade that they can continue to expand upon and work with in our community, directly in the Empire of Aeternia. We are hoping to get land very quickly. We are actively growing and growing our land purchase funding. And once we hit monetization, that's going to shoot off even further. So all we have to do at that point is to take the industries that we've already been developing with the people who have already been supporting them, and then simply move them to that plot of land to expand them. We want people to live on that land, but that won't start all at once with everybody who's a part of the Empire of Aeternia suddenly migrating en masse to one small location. Instead, it is going to be about having trusted individuals, those who are in the highest positions of Aeternian industries, going to be able to oversee their industries and live on the land that their industries use to oversee those operations and to be paid for that. So in order to have people living on our land, we want to be able to fully provide housing for those people for free, to be able to clothe those people, to be able to feed those people, and to be able to pay those people a livable wage and something that is reasonable for them to do things like purchase insurances. So in all of that, and potentially to be able to raise their family. So in all of that, we're going to start with like one person. We're going to have one person that we entrust to live on the land and be the keeper of our land, to be the manager of the land, to oversee the land as a lord in our nation. And as we continue to do that and develop that, we are going to have more people who are a part of the industries in Aeternia who go and utilize that land that is overseen by this lord to develop their industry and to make it something that is bigger and better. But ultimately, those things are all going to be overseen by that one person who lives on the land. As our land grows, as we get more and more of it, we will of course be able to establish more and more people to live there and to work there and to offer opportunities for those people, but we will not create a new slot for someone to reside in Aeternia until we can fully provide housing and clothing and foodstuffs and financial opportunity for those people, livable financial opportunity for those people. So it is a long process to develop. It is something that is hard, but it is something that we have to do in order to truly create a nation that is better than the one that we are coming from, and consistently better, and one that does not take shortcuts, one that does not skimp on its people, does not shortcut its people. We want to be direct, and we want to do things the right way the first time. So that's how we're going about it. That's a great question, Ari. Papel says, have you seen that one micronation with the acorns flag? They have a few acres of woodland, and they actually live there and stuff. Yes, that's actually not a micronation in and of itself anymore. It's a part of another nation. It's Wayward territory that's inside Stemeria. That's what they're talking about. Ari, if you've seen Stemeria's videos, they have that available. Papal says, yep, very cool. So everybody's filled in on that and caught up on that. But for our nation, that's what this is. I have developed this set and I have defined all these things to show you all the active progresses that we are developing. Of course, we have continued growth in our copper. We're getting more and more of a copper hull as well as aluminum. This is a 1 ounce ingot that we've developed. We need to smooth it out and clean it up, but this thing is starting to look pretty and starting to be bigger. So we're able to make bigger ingots. And we are able to do that with more energy. We are able to do that more efficiently and more energy friendly. And as we continue to go, people are getting excited about it. We have people purchasing our ingots. We have people who are now interested in starting to make these ingots for us. And so as we continue to develop, hopefully soon we'll be able to get our first employee, somebody who is just a part-time, someone to be able to help us develop and to help maintain the things that we are growing. Again, that's not going to be right now, but that's one of the next big steps. And then as we continue to gear up to our land purchase, by the time we have our land purchase, we want to be set up and available to have those opportunities for somebody to transition and say, hey, I'm dedicated to this. I'm happy to go and live wherever I need to support Aeternia and to be able to continue my job in there. So that's what we're looking for. That's our plan. That's our tactic. And as we continue to move forward, that is something that we hope to be well on display for you all. And so what my question to everybody here is, what is the purpose of micronationalism to all of you? Because for me, it has always been this activism. It has always been about not just making money and not just, trying to develop an economy and a culture and a nation for the sake of me having my own nation and running it and declaring myself the emperor, but because it is something that can help the people that I care about, because it is a way to be able to get help for them. Even though it is not fast, it is certainly much faster than the institutions that they are currently relying on. And so I want to provide that safety net, that long-term, livable, equitable home for the people that are important to me, and hopefully to be able to extend that as quickly as possible to the people that are important to you all. If you support that, I ask you to please consider supporting the Empire of Aeternia, because we need people to help us develop. We need people to help us with making these videos and with continuing to create all of the things that we do. We have a lot of online infrastructure that we've been continuing to develop and expand, and that's something that is necessary for us to be able to reach out to everybody who wants to interact with us in foreign diplomacy, in trying to create trade agreements, and trying to maintain our Discord that people use for connecting to other nations and for sharing information about their nation. All of that's maintenance that ultimately takes time away from the other things that we do. And a lot of that I ultimately have to take on the burden of, which I'm happy to do because I like micronationalism and because it's important to support our fellow micronationalists out there. But at this time, I am calling for people to find out what is important to them in micronationalism and to determine whether or not they can assist us, whether or not they can assist those other micronations out there that are striving for whatever the dream it is that they are striving for, and to find those common grounds. Papal says, my purpose is to try and make my own nation and try to make a better place than my country of residence. See though, Papal, that is exactly what not everyone, that's not what everyone says, but that is exactly what, a lot of micronationalism is. So don't just say, oh, I'm trying to make something that's new and better than the other place. Yes. But specifically, the more specific that you get, the more you will realize that another nation has already gotten that. What are those problems? What are the issues that your nation has that you currently reside in that you don't like? And what are you trying to build that's new? For us, it is about the environment. For us, it is about technology. For us, it is about providing social programs. For us, it is about developing equity for the people in our nation, so that as our technology progresses, as the world gets better and cleaner and more efficient and more powerful, that we are focusing less on things like warfare. Aeternia is a very non-violent nation. Aeternia is a very peaceful nation, and one that does not want to develop militarily. But we are also a nation that is very, very prideful of its development and of its insurance that its people will be taken care of. So if any of that falls under what you are wanting to do already, why not support us? Or why not support another nation that is also probably doing something that is very, very similar to what you are interested in? If we are not the people for you, that is fine. But there is someone out there who is already doing what you want. And ultimately, I think for a lot of people, it comes down to, well, it's just because I want to do it. It's just because I want to be a leader, and I want this, and I want that. That sucks. It's not cool. Don't be in something that is supposed to be an activist movement for yourself. That's been one of the hardest things about the Empire of Aeternia, and for people to understand about us. We have on our website this monetization, this land purchase funding. It's all the money that I've ever made from the Empire of Aeternia, from any donation, from any PayPal, Etsy, Patreon, any monetary support that we have been given. All of the revenue, not the profit, which would be the revenue minus the cost included, 100% of all the money that we have ever made going directly into our land purchase funding, meaning I take no profit from the Empire of Aeternia, and I will not be taking profit from the Empire of Aeternia. But it is something that is very, very important to think about as we continue developing our country. Can this be something that people support because of what it is? And can people do that in a selfless way? It's hard, but it's very, very important. My camera just turned off, guys. If y'all are curious as to what just happened there, I am trying to jump back in with my webcam, but of course the quality is going to be significantly lower, so I am going to start winding down the stream for a time. But real quick, let me plug in so that I can give you guys some farewells. One of the biggest things, like I said, please go be early adopters of this newest video that we have out, because our newest video is going to help us to get more watch time hours. Even this stream actively able to help us increase our watch time hours and grow, which means improvements for all of the things that we are trying to do. But I encourage you to also be thinking about the things that we talked about in this stream, about why it isn't so important for micronations to help each other and to try and grow and to try and improve the concepts for what it is that we are doing and the purposes for what it is that we are doing. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate everybody continuing to help us grow, and Aeternia forever. Aeternia forever is something that one of our own citizens and aristocrats, Richard Taylor, came up with, and it's a beautiful summation of who we are and what we are trying to do. We are trying to make a country of people that lasts forever, that supports each other forever, and that is unique amongst all the world forever. We want to change the game. We want to include other people's ideas, and we need you for that. Papel says, I also run it with some friends, so we can have some fun events in it. And that's great. Like, if you are just doing something that is just a fun, like, group event and club, that's great. Don't call it a micro, call it something else. If you are trying to define a real actual country that is trying to be independent and is not going to stop because it has to help people and it has to provide for its citizens, that's a different thing. That's a micronation. And I will continue to push for that definition of micronationalism. Ari says, I have actually started my micronation with my brother and sister. It was originally made to declare independence from another micronation. And that's the thing that's so crazy, right? Is why are people subdividing these nations? I don't think that's the best way to go about it. If you have to leave another micronation, that's great. But then don't start another micronation after that. Just join another micronation. If you said, hey, that other micronation wasn't good and they weren't doing the right things and they failed in whatever I was hoping that they would achieve, join another one. Become a part of another one that's already been developing and already been growing. It is critical for those nations' development and survival. Please, stop making micronations. Start helping micronations. It's time. It's time. And that sucks too. It's been, first off, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been hanging out and watching this stream. It means a ton to me. Fellow merchant says, I have arrived again. It's good to see you, and I appreciate everybody who's hung out in the stream. Again, please like the stream. It helps out. But I think I will be doing less streams from now on. It doesn't seem like it's worth it anymore. I enjoy talking to everybody. I enjoy hanging out. And it seems like the community has really supported the streams. But, you know, if I can make this a similar amount of watch time by just making like a short video. I made a 30-second video the other day that ended up being a short that got like 1,000 views, and that had like 4 hours of watch time. Right now we've been going for an hour and 2 minutes 55 seconds, and we've had a rough average of like 3 viewers, so we'll probably have under 3 watch time hours for this stream. And that being the case, it's not worth it by those metrics at all for me to put out a stream if I can easily just make the same watch time hours putting out a video or doing something else. So I want to do this, but we have to be able to have like community hangouts. Like that was a big part of the Discord, and something that I feel is weird about my position now with the Discord. I have expressed that I don't support advertising on the Discord, and it's something that I will continue to push for. And I've seen the Discord become more and more about advertising and supporting other nations, which is great, but that's not its intent. Its intent is to alert people about what we are doing actively in the Empire of Aeternia, and to get people to support these streams, and to get people live updates for when things are happening. We consider the Discord an extension of our territory. So when we see a whole bunch of nations coming into our territory and saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, that's great. But that's not exactly what we want them there for. We want them there to interact directly with us. We want them there to be able to watch the things that we're doing and help us to grow. Sure, if you want to talk and you want to explain the things that you're doing, that's perfectly fine. But when the Discord becomes about that, that's where my interest starts to decline. And that's where I start to make modifications. So I am excited to continue the future of the Empire of Aeternia. And I'm excited to see how we continue to mold and develop. But it will be with some changes, because we can't continue to do things that are not viable for us to continue the channel. I love streaming. I love hanging out with you guys and talking to you guys. But when, you know, we have only a few people in the stream, but we have like 1,500 subs, it's hard to justify it. It's hard to justify doing, you know, a 1, 2, 3 hour stream if it's gonna get us the same amount of watch time as like a 5-minute video that I just put up and edit for a week and let out. Our content, like people have brought up, has been increasing in its quality, and that takes more and more time to put in. So I just want to bring up it, you know, we may stop doing live streams. We may start leaning further and further off of live streams because we can't get the people in. Right now we have 5 viewers. Like, that's great. That if we had, you know, 10, 15 viewers in a stream consistent, then it'd of course be worth it, because we get 10 hours of watch time every single video, 15 hours of watch time every single, every single time we stream, 20. for a couple hours, and that would be fine. But it's not picking up traction. It's not doing what we need it to do. And so there may be some adjustments made. We may lean more and more off of live streams, especially because people don't watch the live streams after the fact as much. Everybody likes to be in a live stream, but then they don't like to watch the live stream after. So we'll see this big peak when the live stream happens of, oh, you got 3 or 4 watch time hours, and then it'll sharply decrease after that, where, it'll become the 50th or 60th most popular video on our channel, and then it'll become the 120th most popular video on our channel, and people just stop watching it after a week or two. So that, I think, has a lot to do with us and the quality of the content and developing it. But if people are enjoying the content that we're making that's edited videos, and people aren't enjoying our live streams as much and aren't participating in our live streams as much, it may not be worth it to continue them. And that's something that we really have to look at. So if you guys are fans of the live streams, and if that's the reason that you're here, and that's the reason that you enjoy everything that we're doing, please like the stream, please help out, please go tell people that the stream is going on. I think part of it is that some people just don't know that we're actively streaming, but yeah, everybody who can jump in, everybody who can help out, because it's super, super important for us, for our community, and for me to just be able to get stuff out there. A lot of the time, people have 100,000 questions that they'll send me when I'm not on streaming, when I'm not, making a video. And so I want to be able to have a platform to come in and to talk about all those things, to have free-form discussions with you guys. But and that's something that I don't think many micronations do. We've always prided ourselves on that, but it also has to be something that enough people participate in for us to continue to find viable. So I want to be able to free flow with you guys. I want to be able to do these cool things and have this particular experience, this live stream experience, grow and get bigger and better and more exciting as we continue on. But if there's not enough people, then we won't continue. I appreciate it, everybody. I'm going to hang out for another minute, but I think I'm going to start to head out, because again, for viewers, I appreciate it, guys. It means a lot. Everybody who is here, everybody who has watched, whether you've watched for a minute, whether you've watched for an hour, thank you so much for participating in the live stream. This is a huge deal. It is events, it is history in the Empire of Aeternia every single time we film this. And so it's important to me. It's important to my life. It's important to who I am as a person, and it makes an impact to be able to talk to all of you. You influence my ideas on things. I am able to show you in real time what the Empire of Aeternia is doing and developing and changing, especially in this small state that we are in as of right now, and as we are continuing to grow larger and larger as the years go on. But if it's not worth it, we will surely change tactics. So when people want to know Q&A questions from us and things like that, that's the great point to talk about in all this. But that's something that's less and less desired, it seems. So again, if you guys want streams, petition for streams. Get on our Discord and tell people I love the streams and hit it up. But I don't know. Gray said, no cap, there isn't a lot of Aeternian-based discussion in the Discord. However, there's a lot of mutual support of other micronations. That's one of the that's one of the aspects of Aeternia. Agreed, 100%. And that's what I want to differentiate, right? Is the concept that I don't want people to stop talking about their nations, because that's not what people should do. Great, you've been talking about how you have got a van and you're gonna start creating this nation and talking about all these different things. That's great. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Stemeria talking about their stuff. I'm excited for Arcovia talking about their stuff. I'm excited for Psycholdia talking about their stuff. We have cool nations doing cool stuff that are talking about that, and that's what I want. But when that is no longer centered around Aeternia and becomes more just this is essentially our platform as a nation to plug ourselves as well, then that kind of puts a weird damper on why the Discord was created in the first place, which was to connect Eternian citizens, Eternian, foreign dignitaries, people from other nations who were trying to interact and converse about Eternia, who were trying to do things internal to Eternia, and not being able to be here physically, not being able to be local to us, or not being able to interact with us through email or whatever, that being the most efficient, productive way for it to happen, especially in a wide community setting. So in that original purpose, there was an expectation of value for our country. And I think that value is still there, but I think it has adapted, where now people are joining the Discord to be a part of those other micronational conversations that are happening. But when the original point was to be able to announce to people and talk to people about what the Empire of Aeternia was doing, and to have a base where we could, shout out the things that we're doing and have it move over, and have, big influxes of our audience come to support us when we announce things, it has become less valuable for that. So we want to do this, out of the good of our hearts to support the community, but at a certain point, it's not reasonable for us to do all this moderation for the Discord and all this assistance for the Discord that it takes time to do if we aren't going to receive benefit from that. If it's whenever we announce the call, hey, everybody who is using this for its value, for the purpose that we created it for, come view the thing we're doing. Come talk to us right now in person live because we are doing something. If there's 200 something people in the Discord right now, that means, and 60 something of them are live actively on the Discord, that means that a good percentage of them either have it muted so that they don't get notifications, which sucks and which we don't want as a part of our community, because we want people to be engaged in specifically what we're doing, or we want to ensure that as we continue to promote that and progress that other people in the Discord are actively echoing that so that it gets around to people, so that they can take that information, even if it doesn't get to everybody right away, and spread it to their friends and allies and other group members. It's a real issue. Richard says, greetings, AP. Greetings, Richard. One, I hope you liked the video that we dropped today. It is all about the thing that you guessed, and I am so excited to be able to continue progressing the things that you have been able to develop. Again, Richard has created the Aeternia Forever phrase that we use so wholesomely and so lovingly, I suppose, between each other. We have also been, of course, showing off that video, and we're trying to get Richard his t-shirt. When Richard guessed correctly that our big unveiling, the big surprise video that we wanted to drop, which took a while, was all about the wax seal, the Great Seal of Aeternia. We wanted to reward him, and so we developed a t-shirt that is based around our North Carolina trip, has pictures actually from our North Carolina trip on it, and has our arrow of progress stamped on the front, in the beautiful trees of North Carolina. And so we want to give that one-of-a-kind t-shirt to Richard, but we're actively working on the printing of that. So still more information on that to come. It's been slow. I'm sorry about that. But that, we also have some updates with the website I need to edit. I need to fix some naming stuff on there and some conventions. But I have missed you, Richard. I hope you've been doing well. And I want you to know we've been thinking about you. Tiffany and I, every once in a while, I think the last time we talked about you was maybe a couple days ago, but every few days, at least every week, we're actively hoping that you're okay and doing well. I know you have a busy life, and I know you have kids, you have a family that you support, but just know that we're thinking about you all the time, and that it means a lot that you support us. Captain Zinto said, I think you should hold polls in the Discord for streams, like if you want to have a Q&A or just regular stream. And that's fair. Richard said, greetings, Gray. Captain Zento says, because then you could see if people would come and watch the stream. And that's fair. And that's, sure, like, absolutely. Audience polling is something that can help to guide our content in general. Like, it can help to grab people's attention as far as, ooh, I would like to see that. But at the same time, going the direction that everybody wants us to go isn't necessarily the direction that creates our unique culture. We are Aeternia. We're doing what we need to do in order to continue to grow in all the aspects that we are. So if a video isn't necessarily the thing that the other micronations in the community want to see, it's still relevant to who we are, and it's still something that we ask everybody to see because it is going to be relevant to the way that we do trade, with the way that we develop our industries, with the way that we make connections to other nations. So if we say, hey, come check out this video, this thing is important, we really mean it. You know, I've done hours and hours and hours of talking on streams, and then people hit me up with questions online about it, and it's like, oh, well, if I know you watch the streams really regularly, if you watch the streams, you should hit it up. And a lot of the time it's not a big deal because I can just link back to other streams or I can do different things. But if people are there in those moments and they experience that thing with us, it works so much better to have it resound around the community because other people can tell you about it because it's a well-known thing. And that saves me a lot of time and effort when it comes to like reinforming. Again, part of that is just organizational on our part. And that's why I'm going back and making videos that reiterate, you know, some of our base concepts as a nation. And some of our updates, you know, our most recent and most exciting things that we've been up to, and kind of making succinct videos that just describe that as a one-off. But now it is crucial that our community also step up to make that known and to say, hey, if you're curious about a thing, you know, Aeternia has already done that. Here's a link to the video where they already explained that and already did that. And I think a lot of our direction now is going to be focused on those people who are actively supporting us and actively trying to make these bigger and better things happen for us, because that seems to be our target audience. That seems to be those people who are getting the most out of what we're doing and are the most reactive to whatever we do, which is important because, like I said, of course, if the community really wants to see a particular video, eventually we can do that video, but that's not ultimately what this is about. It is first and foremost about the development of our nation and documenting that. So if you're a nation that wants to interact with us, or you're a person who's considering joining us, it's important for you to see the history of our nation and what we're doing to become a part of it. So it's a tough thing for me. It's a tough thing to figure out if it's easier to just have a YouTube channel that is based around strictly videos that describe exactly what they're going to be doing, that are very succinct, a couple minutes, and that there's no confusion about. So that way there's just this list of videos that says, hey, everything you need to know is broken down into individual video titles. Or if I can do these streams where we have a lot of people coming in to support, where I can announce a whole bunch of different things at once. And I can say, these are actively the things that we're doing, and these are why these things are important. Because that's the question. And it's funny because right now, we're talking about something that's really important about the Empire of Aeternia, our Discord channel, on a video about stop making micronations. So part of that, again, is organizational, because if somebody Googles stop making micronations or whatever, or finds the video stop making micronations, they don't expect it to be a video talking about our Discord. And toward the second half now, it will be, and our community. But these conversations are important to the members of our community, because if only, you know, right now there are 7 people watching. That's fantastic. But if all of a sudden we announced we're shutting down the Discord channel, which we're not shutting down the Discord. But if we were, and we announced that to 7 people or now to 5 people who are viewing, everybody else would be 100% confused as to what happened to the Discord channel the next day. People would not know, and they would not know where to find that inside of this video. So that's where we're asking our community to do some of the legwork and to make it known and to repeat these things and to shout them from the rooftops when we're doing them and to reference these videos to get people to go back and watch them, because it will inform our community and it makes our community better aware of what we're doing. So a lot of the time when people come to us with ideas for micronational organizations, for trade agreements, for ways that they can participate in our country or make our country better, ways that we can improve the discord, they will know of these other conversations we've had before. They will know how we are trying to go about progressing, and they will be able to continue finding a quicker and quicker ladder to the thing that they actually want in our community. Whereas a lot of the time it ends up getting stopped somewhere, and then they come with a question, and then we answer the question, and then it's, stopping another question. Oh, we've answered that already. Here's a link to a video, and on and on and on. James says, what is your perspective on democracy, AP? I support democracy in a macronational sense. I think for micronations, democracy is hard because true democracy, democracy in which everybody is equally and fairly represented, is something that becomes incredibly bureaucratic and incredibly inefficient in a micronation. Social scientists have studied before that around a group of, I think, 12 or 13 people stop being able to make decisions. People stop being able to all agree on one thing. So as your micronation starts to become larger and larger, people very quickly cannot agree on the direction of your micronation. Now, in countries like the United States, this is fine because even though you have this overarching system which is democratic and which people have dissecting views, it's bisected. People are forced to choose pretty much between one viewpoint and one half of a spectrum or the other half of a spectrum. Even though most people aren't blindly one or the other, they still have to channel and funnel that. So then micronations think, okay, so we should make all of these parties, and we should develop parties so people have to choose and make decisions based on their party. But then that becomes even worse because now you have these interest groups that are vying for power inside of an already small and divided country. I don't think democracies work well or are efficient for micronations. That's my opinion, and there are other micronations who are doing democratic things that are making successes. So go and approach that at your own risk and know that there are other viewpoints out there. But that's why I'm trying to make all of this point about our Discord and about why you should join other micronations, is because of the fact that there are different opinions out there, and that if we aren't the right nation for you, you should find one out there that is the right nation for you. But don't go and just create a nation because, whatever. For some people, this is something that's a very serious development in their life and something that they are putting a lot of time and effort into, and potentially having a lot of financial, contribution to and connection to. So it's important. James says, greetings, Richard. Richard says, greetings and love to Tiffany. I will let her know, Richard. Thank you so much. John says, hi. So over the weekend I made a Google Doc where you take control of a country. That's very cool. Tell us about that. Australia says, can you please say hello to Tiffany for me? I sure will. But like I said, I think I am going to go ahead and head off because I think this has kind of concluded my rant on the topic, my discussion. But I will say I'm trying to figure out whether or not to make live streams anymore, because it is a conflicting topic for me. I feel like they're important to document things in our nation that we can't always make a big expressive video about. I'm not going to make a whole video talking about how I just made this little tiny piece of copper ingot or whatever, but this is the biggest copper ingot we have. This is, I think, close to 2 or 3 ounces of copper that is in a purified form by itself. Doesn't look the prettiest, we need to clean it up, but this is a mark for our country. This is a huge moment for our country. And in addition, having our largest aluminum ingot that we've made thus far, and purifying those things, and having people who are buying those, is all important things to document, but maybe not something that we always have time to make a video about. So if we switch to a platform of only making these videos, there's going to be so much lost for all of you. There's so much that's not going to be said and not going to be done because we have to focus on our internal work first. So we have to figure something out as a community. James says, bye AP. Captain Zinto says, see ya. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. And see you guys. Sabotat says, I was writing a law and looked at your YouTube to find your live stream. Hey, thank you so much. And that's the other thing. YouTube doesn't promote us that hard. So it's a thing where a lot of the time people will be like, yeah, I have to like Google your shit to be able to find you. And it's really hard to find you. Most of our analytics actually show that like 90% of the viewing for our videos and stuff like that for our live streams is from people looking up our name and from like finding it. One, if you have the ability, turn on post notifications, turn on all notifications, make sure YouTube notifies you about our videos, because that's half the battle. If you don't know about it, you can't get on it. Also, turn off your mute for our Discord. If you're in our Discord, if you unmute and we're allowed to announce things to you, then that makes it a lot easier for us to get the word out about what we're trying to do. So, this is a an interesting time to be an Aeternian, and I think that's the reason why I'm so hesitant to actually like delete the Discord or to do any severe modifications to the Discord, is because I know that there are Aeternian citizens who that affects. We still have the Hall of the Empire where we talk directly to our citizens. We have foreign dignitaries, people who are a part of our prestige system, who are actively participating in things and doing things with us, like our Micronational Risk Tournament, that are, upended if we end our Discord. It's just something that we need to ensure has benefit for us in the original way we intended, which was to get out this information to our audience. And with 1,500 YouTube subscribers, with 200 something of them being a part of our Discord, we need to get these numbers up with our live streams, because at a certain point it's not effective and it's not beneficial for us to do the live streams if people can't watch them. So please tell people in the Discord, we need help. We need to get more people viewing these live streams. We need to get people who can shout out the live stream and contact other people and reach out and say, come watch this thing, so that they can get their watch time hours up. Right now, like I said, I think we're at 3240, and so it's something where as soon as we can get up to that 4,000, we can start to make a little bit of money off of this. But for the past 5 years that I've been doing this, aside from our generous patrons, aside from our generous supporters and aristocrats who have purchased things from the imperial market, like Richard Taylor, we have been otherwise not able to make a ton of money. We're now entering into larger trade agreements with other nations. We're now working in the U.S. consumer market to start selling some of our ingots and some of our products. But we want to have YouTube be something that is beneficial enough for us to continue to make videos for you guys and to announce things and to progress things. So if you want that, if this is the way that you enjoy connecting with us, if talking and being a part of this community is the thing that is important to your attachment to micronationalism, if the Discord of the Empire of Aeternia is an important part of micronationalism to you and connecting with the friends that you've made in this community, please help to keep it alive by having people support these streams and by having people come in to watch and hang out. This is the summation, I guess, of the video, but I appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate everybody supporting, and Aeternia forever. Bye, everybody. I'm always trying to wait to see whether or not it's gonna work. Aeternia forever, Richard. Real quick, Legend just jumped in and said, hello, I'm new here and I want to make a micronation. What's the best way to make a micronation? Don't make a micronation. Join another micronation. You're like, I know the topic of the stream, but how do I make my own micronation? Unless you have something that's 100% original and that no human being has ever thought of before, there's probably a micronation who has already been established that is doing what you want to do. Join that nation. Join that nation. Don't make a micronation. Join that nation. Support it. If you want to support us and join our micronation, we are the Empire of Aeternia. We're an empire. We are trying to grow based on technological advancement, based on environmental advancement and protection, based on supporting social programs to assist our people and making sure that all of our people are taken care of and get equity in our ever-advancing empire. You can support us. If you want to join someone else, there are ways to do that as well. You can go and find another nation that more fits your values, but find a nation that fits it. Do not create another nation. Thank you so much, everybody. And I will see you all soon. Peace, guys.